Hey everybody, welcome to my first video on the channel. So today we're going to be taking Morningstar into Realm of Legends to see what her damage is like and how much utility she has over most of longer end quests like this. So the synergy team we have here is Guillotine, Guillotine 2099, Mephisto, and Venom for a little bit of extra attack there. So Morningstar is a ramp up champ, and she ramps up via her souls. So you can get 5 souls over the course of a quest. And the way you can get souls, the first 2 souls that you see here, one is from her awakened ability, which gives her 1 at the start of the fight if she doesn't have one. And the second is the Guillotine synergy, which gives her an additional soul if she has less than 2. Now, the main way that you get souls is by using the special 3 and capturing your opponent's soul. So basically what's going to happen here, you fire off the special 3, and then after the special 3 is done, you're going to get a soul counter that starts at 50. You want to get that up to 100. Now, each time you deal damage to the opponent with a hit, a blocked hit, or damage over time, your soul counter increases by 5. And each time you take damage in any form, your soul counter goes down by 5. Now, the power gain buff gives you, I believe, 5% of your maximum power for each soul that you have over the duration of the buff. So here, we're going to finish off Winter Soldier with another special 1, and just put him right in the dirt. So that fight, he went down in 291 hits. So the first fight's always the worst for Morningstar. Low soul count, so you need to get her ramped up to really see the big damage and the big utility. Against Captain Marvel, we've got class advantage and an extra soul, so this one should go a little bit better. Now, each soul gives you an extra benefit on top of increasing damage and utility. So the first soul gives you a chance to bleed the opponent when they make contact with you on a hit. The second soul gives you an unstoppable buff after the special 1. The third soul gives you an unblockable special 2. The fourth soul gives you a chance at perfect blocks on every single block, as well as extra energy resist. And the fifth soul gives you a 20% chance to lifesteal for 50% of the damage dealt. And I really want to focus on the unstoppable buff off the special 1 here, which is a really nice piece of utility to have, just let you stay a little more aggressive. Now the special 1 here, you see the big red numbers, those are dealing extra energy damage based on not only your soul count, but also your critical damage that you deal. So we take down Captain Marvel here. She goes down 177 hits. As you see, really good fight. Class advantage and the extra soul helped a lot. Going into this Juggernaut fight here, this fight was pretty difficult for me to manage. It still turns out to be an okay fight, but we're going to get our final soul here, not without some sort of struggle. His unstoppable is very difficult to manage, especially the fact that it refreshes off of every single special that he throws. So we're going to be able to showcase a little bit of the utility that Morningstar's bleed off of being hit comes in. So as you know, off the soul counter, you need to get it up to 100, but each time you take damage, it goes down by 5. So the issue here we run into is Juggernaut just keeps throwing off specials, getting unstoppable. He gets me in the corner and he hits me. Now, you see that bleed debuff is ticking away and it's increasing the soul counter, which is really nice. A piece of utility, just fire it off or get the bleed on right before or after. You fire off a special 3, you can rely on that to increase your soul counter. So I fired off the special 2 there, didn't really want to do that in this fight because he doesn't have a lot of buffs, just unstoppable and the fury, but here we're going to take a special 1, put him right in the dirt, and so that fight he went down at 148 roughly. So pretty good fight, all things considered. We lost a bit of health, but you're really going to see in these future fights how the lifesteal helps a lot. So I wanted to take her now up against Rhino just to see how she does in a class disadvantage scenario now that she's going to be fully ramped up for the entire fight. So now that we're into a fight in this part of the quest where we have all 5 souls, we don't need to be using the special 3 anymore, and we can just use the special 1 in these scenarios. I kind of lost a little track of how far my power was, and just had to fire off special 2. Rhino only has 1 fury buff, so it doesn't really do a whole lot of extra damage, and we'll talk about the special 2 in a later fight. So Morningstar, she seems to be dealing pretty okay damage for being up against the Science Champ. But now we're going to talk about her Awakened ability. She's mimicking that Fury buff that Rhino has, and she's able to do that with Fury's regeneration and power gain. But she also reduces the potency of opponents' buffs as well when they trigger those. So he went down in 160-ish hits, which is really great, especially for a Science Champ opponent. So now we're going into the Scarlet Witch fight, which I think is really good to kind of showcase all of her utility and really get down and talk about how she works at base. So Morningstar is not poison immune. She is bleed immune, but she's not poison immune, so she is susceptible to all of the debuffs that Scarlet Witch is able to throw at her. So she's going to be taking a lot of damage off the poison. She's not going to be able to heal off of it a lot of the time because of heal block buffs. But you're going to be able to see here that she still has a lot of survivability because of that block, that perfect block chance, and because of that lifesteal. So you can see here that we're dealing some pretty good numbers off of the special 1 with the extra energy damage. So that increases with soul count, like I said, and also your critical damage. The thing about Morningstar is that she's got very low crit rate and very low critical damage rating. So bottom 34% for crit rate and bottom 17% for critical damage rating, so pretty bad. And this is where Guillotine 2099 comes in. Synergy with Guillotine 2099 gives her an extra 300 critical damage per soul. So this is not only just going to increase her base crit damage, it's also going to increase the damage that you get off those red numbers for the special 1. Now, a fight like this, you can tell she's heal blocked, and she's been heal blocked for most of the fight, so the poisons are going to be dealing extra damage. We can't heal off of the one mastery, I can't remember what it's called, I think it's recovery or something, but she's still at 100% health because she's life-stealing once a combo. Usually that's statistically how it's supposed to work. So as you can see here, Scarlet Witch is about to trigger a power gain buff, which gives us a power gain buff of our own. Granting, I don't know exactly how much it is, but Scarlet Witch's power gain buff has a reduced potency, and ours has a seemingly much longer duration. And these buffs that Morningstar gets are super, super long comparatively to her opponents usually, so it gives her a lot of regeneration, a lot of extra attack for a lot of time, and a lot of power gain. And as you can see here, Morningstar is still at 100% pretty much, even with the poison, because she's just dealing so much damage and recovering it so very often. So Morningstar's survivability is one of my favorite features about her. I love taking her in the incursions and using her. She gets super benefit off of all those high buff, high attack scenario, those hacks. So I love using her in incursions, but it's so difficult, especially when you get to later zones, to deal with those high attack values. You gotta sometimes sacrifice your post-boss power-up for some healing. Well, with Morningstar, you're healing during the fight very reliably. You know, it's nowhere near as good as champions like Wolverine, but it's still super, super good and reliable. So Scarlet Witch went down less than 200 hits. It's a pretty standard fight, again, all things considered, but she's almost at full health, if not at full health. So going into the Wolverine fight here, I wanted to try and see if I could get Wolverine down. He's a huge roadblock for a lot of people when doing Realm of Legends, and so I wanted to take a little bit of a tactic of trying to go through buff control, nullification, and high damage. So the special 2 gains bonus attack for each buff the opponent has when it's activated, and then nullifies all their buffs. So I thought maybe if I could keep his regens under control, I could eventually out-damage him. The issue is, the buff potency is so high that even with the reduced potency, it's still out-regenning my damage, and it's near impossible to get back up to a special 2 by the time he triggers another regeneration buff. So he's very often just ticking away while I'm trying to get up to a special 2. And by the time I get to it, he's pretty much back at full health, and my special 2 does not do much damage. So as you can see here, we're 50 hits in. He hasn't dropped below 90% health once, whereas most champions would be at least at 75% health. by this point. So I'm kind of getting annoyed here. I quit out, going with Guillotine 2099, kill him, pop a 20% revive, go into the Black Bolt fight. So this fight's where you're really going to be able to see a lot of high damage and high survivability. So every time we hit Black Bolt, we have a chance to give him Fury or a Cruelty buff. Now, as you can see here with Special 2, massive damage every time we fire it off because we're nullifying his buffs and gaining extra damage for each one that he has. And because of the reduced potency of his buffs, we don't have to worry about extra attack increase, extra critical damage, and we can reliably parry most of his hits and special attacks and, you know, not take a whole lot of damage. So as you can see, 40 hits in, we're up to above 40% health. So we've gained 20% health just off of her lifesteal alone. So we want to try to fire off as many special 2s as possible. I'm not really worrying about the power gain buffs because this is a super aggressive Black Bolt today. So we're just hammering in with as many basic hits as we can, just going through the 5 combo. And we really want to get as many buffs on him as we can before we fire off that special 2, because the more buffs, the more damage, the quicker he goes down. So that was a super good one to see 23,000 ticks. That was just 6 buffs, you know, imagine a Venom that's got so much higher buffs. Here, we get clipped, happens at least once every time I fight Black Bolt. He stun locks us, but we're able to tank it because we healed up to, you know, 90-ish% health at that point. So she's super good at survivability. We're going to take down Black Bolt, but we're above 60% health, so we gained over 40% of our health back during that fight, and, you know, even more because we lost health off of that one special too. So she's super good in high buff scenarios. So coming up, the final fight of Realm of Legends against Hulk, I just wanted to take this time to recap a lot of her strengths and weaknesses. Strengths, super good in high buff scenarios. We're able to take advantage of those for extra damage and just nullify them, you know. Her Awakened ability as well, super good for buff matchups. Anybody that's got Regeneration, Fury, and Power Gain, she just copies those right over to herself, knocks the potency down. I believe it's SIG 200. It's about a 60% reduction in potency, which is pretty good. Fury buff's barely going to give any attack, Power Gain buffs are barely going to grant any power, and Regeneration buffs are not going to heal as much. But that brings me to one weakness she has, which is scenarios where there's a lot of frequent and potent regeneration, or scenarios where you need a lot of damage in a short period of time. Morningstar is very much a utility champ and not a damage champ. Doesn't mean that she has bad damage. As you can see, she can do a massive amount of damage in the right scenario. But in your average fight, she's pretty gimped compared to other champions. But other strengths she has include just, you know, being able to stay alive over the course of an entire quest, which is great. And everybody loves not having to use potions, revives, etc. So we took down Hulk in about 173 hits. Pretty normal comparatively to the Rhino, which was also a class disadvantage. So Morningstar is a great champ. I love using her. She's probably my favorite rank 5 that I've done since I've started playing this game. But that's going to cover that video. So this is my first introduction into YouTube. I really would love to keep this up pretty often, do more videos like this, just more MCOC videos in general, and even start streaming and do other videos on games that aren't MCOC. So if you like this video, please drop a like, leave a comment about what I could do better on the next video, what you liked, and also what kind of games you want to see when I start streaming. If you got any other ideas for videos I can do for MCOC, also drop those in the comment. I'm going to leave a link to my Twitter in the description below so that you guys can follow. I'll post updates when I post a video, when I'm going to go live, stream schedules, and just anything that's going on with the channel. So again, thank you guys so much for watching this video. It really means a lot to me, and any feedback that you have is greatly appreciated. So take care, and I hope you guys have a great day.